This year, the Glenelg Football Club's under-18 team has spent 11 weeks at the top of the ladder, having won the premiership in 2009 and 2010 and taken out the under-19 grand final in 2008. Glenelg has been the team to beat at this level for years. The Dogs might have ruled the league, but the Tigers have led the youth. In round 19, Sturt got it all right. The Tigers were restricted to just one behind in the first quarter, and by half-time the Blues had 4 times more scoring shots to lead by 45 points. Causing trouble up front was Adam Shearwood. For the second time this season, Adam was voted best on ground for Sturt. His 31 disposals at Unley Oval last Saturday took his possession count to 347 for the season, and his 7 goals for the round took his team to their 12th win in 2011. Since coming up from the under-16s in 2009, Adam has been the go-to man up front for the Double Blues. This week Adam amassed 18 kicks, 13 handballs and 5 marks, but he stays in 3rd place on the leading goal scorers tally, still 13 behind North's Michael McMahon. In his 13th match for Sturt this year, Josh Archer's contribution was also noteworthy. Josh was part of the 2010 under-16 state side, which won the Division 1 title. He was accompanied in that team by Brodie Grundy and Harley Montgomery, names we'll hear more and more in coming years. In round 19 last week, Josh certainly found the gaps with all 7 of his marks uncontested. Add to that 17 kicks and 7 handballs, and you've got a good game all round from an all-round athlete. Like so many good footballers, Josh is an accomplished cricketer in the summer. For Glenelg, the consolation is that they won the final quarter with goals to James Weir and Chad Francis, but by then the Double Blues were 11 goals up and coasting to the finish line. But they don't want to ease off too much as the finals approach. This season's minor premiership could come down to percentage when every goal will count. At the Unley Oval, it was Sturt by 55 points over the once mighty Tigers. There was a battle of a different kind outside the 5 up at Elizabeth Oval. David Harvey's Bulldogs also haven't had a win since round 15, but that's not so unlikely for a team that scraped home in 8th place last season. The Eagles had only one thing planned for round 19, to edge their way into the top 5. And when you look at the ladder at the start of play, 5th spot was ripe for the plucking. The Eagles would beat the Dogs and the Roosters would lose to the ladder leaders. Easy. Well, with the only certain things in life being death and taxes, the Eagles didn't beat the Dogs, and as for the ladder leaders, well, stay tuned, the Magpies are up next. This was a good day to be a Northerner. All 3 of Central's SANFL teams were victorious on Saturday. Not so good to be an Eagles supporter though. The Dogs were down early through goals to Matthew Jacquia and Joe Virgin in his first appearance since July 2nd when he scored 2 goals, also against the Bulldogs. The Eagles won that fixture on a wet day up north when Central's Steve Rusker won the Maccas Cup MVP award for 2 goals from 18 kicks. No Steve Rusker this week. He was over at Woodville helping the reserves with their win. Instead, the Dogs relied on half of the team for their goals in round 19. There were 9 goal scorers and the best was deemed to have been Joshua Glenn from the Elizabeth Eagles Football Club up at Argana Park. This was Josh's first game for the under-18s and he didn't disappoint. Josh has regularly scored both goals and votes for Elizabeth and he scored both again for Central District. 2 goals from 22 kicks for Josh, 35 disposals in your first game is definitely a good start. Best on ground for the Dogs was Luke Snowden, one of Anguston's most successful exports. Luke's work at centre-half back getting in front of the contests won him the Maccas Cup MVP award for the round. His 8 marks were also a feature of this game. For the Eagles, Matthew Jacquia's 3 goals might have been all quality, but they weren't enough to salvage a win for his team. And Joseph Senor's hail of 42 disposals on any other day would have been a great cause for celebration. But no celebrations in round 19 for the Eagles. They missed the opportunity to steal 5th place from the Roosters, going down by 38 points to Central District. But at least North would surely lose to Port and keep the Eagles' finals chances alive. Well, no, sorry Eagles fans, but the one thing Shane Grimm's Eagles didn't want to hear was cheering at the Prospect Oval. But in an upset that John Bertrand would have been proud of, the Roosters overcame the odds and the Magpies to cement themselves firmly into the 5. But this was no walk in the park for North. This match would have to go down in history as one of the most topsy-turvy games the under-18 competition has ever hosted. After one quarter, North was 3 goals up. After 2 quarters, they were 2 goals down. At 3-quarter time, 4 goals up again. The rollercoaster ride continued to the end of the show when it was North Adelaide amazingly and unexpectedly in front by 6 goals. Matthew Webber's young Magpies have been planning the round 22 showdown against Glenelg for many weeks. What could possibly go wrong? Well, Michael McMahon's not the competition's leading goalscorer for nothing. Michael scored yet another 5 goals in this match, none in the second quarter though. North managed 2 behinds in the second term, but that stat was nicely balanced out by the Magpies, who didn't score at all in the third term. Incidentally, that's the first time all season the Magpies have failed to score in a quarter. Matthew Webber will hope it's the last time that ever happens. For the second time this year, Michael Virgin was voted best on ground for North. Another player built and shipped by the Foss Camden Football Club. Michael hand-passed the footy 14 times in this match, and every single pass found its mark. It's accuracy like Michael's that wins matches, and it was North winning this match by 40 points over a shell-shocked Port Adelaide. The Sunday fixture was at the Richmond Oval. Norwood's run at the minor premiership had taken a blow the previous afternoon when Sturt beat Glenelg. West were in a similar situation, having seen Central beat the Eagles and snatch 7th place from them. For West, nothing short of a win would move them up the ladder, and neither side could benefit from a draw. Lucky there aren't too many of them in this competition. The first quarter didn't trouble the scorers too much. West scored just 1 behind through Kieran Brand, while Norwood thrilled the travelling fans with a huge 2 behinds from Patrick Kieran. It was in the second term that the match came alive. Norwood moved the ball more freely than their opponents and edged out to a 4-goal lead with goals to Jimmy Savage, Nick Dinham and once again Patrick Kieran, who was somewhat more accurate in the second quarter. Pat's 20 disposals and 6 marks saw him take out the best on-ground tag for Norwood. While for the Bloods, Lucas Theodulu took the honours. The captain, back from duties with the reserves, took 7 marks in a good performance across the midfield. He was ably assisted by Ben Smith in his first game for 3 weeks. The Bloods fought back in the third term, and by 3-quarter time, there were just 2 straight kicks in the contest. West hit the lead midway through the term, but Jack O'Leary's 22nd minute goal gave the Norwood faithful hope in what would surely be a short quarter with just 3 goals kicked up until then. But when Ryan Dykesman moved the ball forward and Rhys Smelt put it through the middle, scores were level and the Bloods would be denied another attempt at goal. The siren sounded in the 27th minute to give us just the second draw of the season, both involving West Adelaide. To wrap up round 19, it was West and Norwood, 8 goals 10 apiece.